America's Pulse Network welcomes you to the Pulse Podcast. Today we've got a packed show, from breaking news to informative topics that will keep you well informed. So, please click the subscribe button to get notified of upcoming episodes. If you like what the APN's The Pulse Podcast talks about, then please share the Pulse with others. During this episode of The Pulse, the host looks forward to your comments. Tonight's APN's The Pulse Podcast starts now.
Well, hello, everyone. Hello. This is Alexandra Levine with The Pulse. I am your moderator tonight. We have some major breaking news coming from the SPLC indictment. Let's play the video.
Good afternoon. Today, a few minutes ago, in the Middle District of Alabama, a grand jury returned an 11-count indictment charging the Southern Poverty Law Center with 6 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of bank fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. According to the charges in the indictment, the SPLC is a nonprofit entity that purports to fight white supremacy and racial hatred by reporting on extremist groups and conducting research to inform law enforcement groups with the goal of dismantling these groups. As the indictment describes, the SPLC was not dismantling these groups. It was instead manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose by paying sources to stoke racial hatred. The indictment describes this conduct in detail, but one troubling example is that the SPLC was paying a member of the leadership group that planned the Unite the Right protest in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017 that resulted in the death of 1 person and injured dozens more. This particular person being paid by the SPLC allegedly received approximately $270,000 over the course of 8 years. In total, according to the indictment, between 2014 and 2023, SPLC paid at least $3 million to 8 individuals at least. These individuals were affiliated with the Ku Klux Klan, United Klans of America, National Socialist Movement, Aryan Nations Affiliated Sadistic Souls Motorcycle Club, the Nationalist Socialist Party of America, Nazis, and the American Front.
Well, I am back. So what we see is that the DOJ charged the Southern Poverty Law Center with wire fraud, conspiracy to commit money laundering, and also false statements. This is insane. And I've known about the Southern Poverty Law Center for a long time now. They're very anti-Semitic. They are pro-KKK. They're anti-Christian. And a lot of people knew about this, and obviously we were silenced to say something. So I'm very proud that the DOJ with the FBI called them out today in their press conference. This was big, major news. Also, other breaking news out of Virginia, other breaking news. Let's put up the second slide. So Florida can add up to plus 5 Republican seats to more than cancel out Virginia's 10D to 1R gerrymandering map that passed. The special session is next week. Republicans' plan should be to go for broke in Florida and strike down Virginia's map in the court system for violating law during the process. Per the New York Times, Republicans can still end up leading the redistricting wars by as many as 6 seats, assuming Virginia holds. As you know, last night, Virginia, unfortunately, the damn Democrats, they found a way to win their redistricting. But we're finding out is it's going straight to the courts. And already we have circuit court judges that are saying that what Virginia did was unconstitutional. Hopefully it'll go straight up to the state Supreme Court. It will be overturned. And maybe Virginia can redeem themselves. But Floridians next week, they have an opportunity to add 5+ Republican seats to cancel out the Virginia's 10 Democrat and 1 Republican. Now we go into my monologue. As I've been traveling around the country and the world, Republicans, for some reason, can't get it together. We haven't passed the Save America Act. We don't come out for special elections. We're falling behind. Why is that? Is this the working of the rhinos of our party or hardcore Republicans that don't feel the momentum to come out and vote? One thing is certain. If we don't come out and vote, the Democrats win. If we don't put up the money, the Democrats win. If you don't want a Speaker Hakeem Jeffries, Republicans, you must come out to vote. Take internal polls while you're standing in line. Do something to mobilize the base and to mobilize your base. If you sit at home and do absolutely nothing, nothing will change. As we saw in Virginia last night, when you allow the left to take control of your state, there's no going back to the norm. Well, we're bringing you the Pulse of America tonight. Right now we have one of our hosts. The other host will be coming out later. We have the hammer, Damon Galdo of the Jersey Shore, running for Congress in District 1 of New Jersey. So let's bring him out.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, there we go. Seth Eisenberg of the Conservative Corner. Woo! Maryland. He's in the Maryland swamp, everybody. That's Popeye the Sailor Man. That is a Conservative Corner. And also, we have our special guest in Florida, where it's the land of the free and the home of the brave, Eleana Barbera from the Base Mother.
What's up?
Yay. And we have a very special guest tonight. I've never met him before, but I know he's been on the Pulse multiple times. 15-year-old Frank.
Hi, how's everyone doing?
Awesome. I'm so sorry, guys, if I'm a little bit delayed. I'm sorry about that. Well, hopefully it doesn't mess up everything. But we're going to go into segment 1 right now. Let's bring everybody up. So segment 1, we focused on obviously the elections and we focused on the SPLC. I don't want to go, I don't want to use our whole segment for this, but I know, Eleana, you have something juicy about the SPLC, so I'm going to have you take it from here.
Well, there's so much to squeeze out of the indictment. It is an awful lot of fun. And everybody is talking about their connection to the Charlottesville event that kicked off, one of the greatest divides in our nation. They were paying somebody who ultimately put up racist posts that flamed the fires. They transported people there, and they were part of the group that planned the Charlottesville event. But there was another informant who who stole documents, provided it to the SPLC. They used these stolen documents to create a story, to publish a story. They then returned the documents to the guy, or he had made copies, excuse me. They paid him like $1 million over the course of several years. And then when he got caught for stealing the documents, they paid off someone else to falsely incriminate themselves and take the heat for the crime. It's just so convoluted. And that was just one paragraph of a 14-page indictment. The people who pulled all of this off, who created the shell companies, they ultimately rose at the SPLC to become the chief financial officer and the director of the intelligence project that they have. This was so deep and so purposeful. It was the demons on the left dancing with the demons on the right. And thankfully, people like us weren't funding it, but the dumb libs who actually believe everything the SPLC says, they were the ones reaching in their pockets $5, $10 at a time and putting their money that was going straight to the KKK and the Aryan Nation. It is fascinating. I can't get enough of it. So
Damon Galdo, you are going into a huge election coming up in New Jersey, and I'm flipping it to what we just had in Virginia. So your state has been leaning left, even though I still remember the huge rally in Wildwood for President Trump where there was 100,000 people there, but yet your state of New Jersey still went Democrat. Still you have a Democrat governor, and then the person who took over the congressional seat is a freaking Marxist. She is a Bernie Sanders supporter. She's a far left person. She's anti-Semitic. Why the hell do the people of New Jersey put this, she's worse than a squad member, to replace Mickey Sherrill in Congress?
Why didn't New Jersey vote that way? I can say they didn't get enough of me yet. To get vote. That's all I can say. I don't know why. if people in New Jersey are smart people, maybe they're just not informed enough yet to know what they stand for. I mean, the prices in New Jersey are astronomical to live in the state. I think we're the second highest state in property taxes, and people are getting taxed like out of their homes. And guess what? I said this before on the other podcast. I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie The Bronx Tale, when Sonny locked the door. He said, "No, you can't leave." And that's basically what it is. We're going to tax you out of your home, but you want to leave, you get paid. You have to pay an exit tax to leave the state of New Jersey. So it's pretty bad here, and that's why I'm running for Congress. And people need to be informed. They need to know what they're looking at, and not a lot of people are, and that's the thing. I just can't get enough people in time to stop that. I mean, hopefully I get enough people to get myself elected. But there's a lot of good people here that are starting to pay attention, open their eyes, and hopefully it goes that way. And the good thing is we gained about 300,000 Republican voters in the past couple of years, which is good. Trump, I believe Trump got the highest presidential vote than any other president in the state of New Jersey, but he still lost by 5 points. But I don't know. It's turning around slowly. I mean, hopefully it turns around a lot quicker by November.
So, Damon, Chair, please put up the first slide. It was written by Laura Loomer. So Laura Loomer wrote, new Obama, Eric Holder, Soros, and House Democrat leadership attempt midterm coup in Virginia. Barack Hussein Obama is teaming up with his lifelong buddies, Eric Holder, George Soros, and House Democratic leadership to push for the referendum sent to take place, and that was April 21st. That was yesterday. This would redraw, blah, blah, blah. In a video that is playing constantly in Virginia, Barack Obama claims President Trump is attempting to rig the upcoming midterm elections. He says the only way to, quote, stop Trump is to vote yes on Virginia's newly redistricted maps on April 21st. My question to Frank, as a young person who's 15 years old, you're seeing this, you're seeing Barack Obama campaign videos all over the place. And I hate to say it, a lot of your generation was in line in Virginia. Majority of them did vote for the redistricting. What do you say to the young people that are, 18 to, 30 that voted for this in Virginia?
Well, they need to get a brain. That's what they need to get. And you need to do your research on an election. You cannot listen to people telling you who to vote for. As presidents, once they were done their terms, they went into hiding. You didn't hear from them. But now you have Obama. He campaigned for Mickey Sherrill and Spanberg in Virginia. And now he's just getting people to go out and vote for Democrat. And the young people, they don't do their research. I will tell you that. So people my age need to do their research instead of listening to TikTok or people who are already elected to their positions.
I completely agree with you. Damon, Sherrod, please put up the second slide with Eric Dougherty. So Eric Dougherty wrote, breaking, Virginia voters have passed the egregiously congressional gerrymandering map, expected to give 10 seats, blah, blah. That means over 90% of Virginia becomes represented by Democrats, disenfranchising, blah, blah, blah. The courts must strike this down. Florida must jump in. There's special sessions coming up. This is why the GOP must always play hardball in redistricting. Don't back down from this. My question to Seth Eisenberg, my good friend, is, unfortunately, you see this in Maryland a lot, and my face is covered. I don't know why. But can my face not be covered? Thank you. So, Seth, what's interesting is you see this in Maryland, where the Republicans are like, we gotta get out, and then failure happens, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, now we got to do something. So they didn't So the Republicans in Virginia did not strategically help in making sure that the vote was no. I mean, it was a very small margin, but the Democrats still beat the Republicans in this. Now all of a sudden, everyone's like, the Republicans in Virginia, like, now we got to rally. Now we got to get to the courts. Now we got to make sure that the courts overturn this. What say you?
Virginia just like has the Republicans that Maryland has. They're useless as shit.
Mm-hmm.
They're more worried about parties, worried about getting in the newspaper. I mean, for example, where I live in Frederick County, Maryland, which is Western Maryland, if you don't live in Maryland, the Central Committee has I don't want to say, well, yeah, a little more than a quarter of the people on the Central Committee have spouses already elected officials in the government. And they're supposed to be biased. How is that biased? You're going to take care of who you know. We have people running for the Central Committee, a guy by the first name of Heath, who attacks Republicans who are running for office. and he wants to represent Republicans. Virginia's no different. They have useless Republicans and useless Republican supporters who will continually throw money because they're too stupid to get off their ass, take 5 minutes to educate themselves about these candidates. All they look for is the R. When it comes to that, they're no better than the Democrats who just look for the D. So we have Republicans that don't support Republicans. We have morons that support the Republican Party that don't know that these Republicans are supporting won't support Republican candidates. They don't do anything to help Republicans. They don't do anything to further Republican causes. They collect your money, give you the finger, have happy hours, and throw Christmas parties, and then ask you for more money, and you fucking idiots line up to hand them your money. I work too hard for my money to give it to a hustler. But you all keep in line. Keep feeding these Republicans in Maryland and Virginia your hard-earned cash, then sit with your thumb up your ass and go, duh, how come we can't win nothing? Duh, we always get a bust. We always lose everything. The Democrats always win. Here's my money. That's why we lose. We have idiots supporting idiots. That's why the Republican Party has no teeth, because people who are smart that watch these podcasts, that educate themselves and know about these candidates don't want to be involved anymore. Why do I want to waste my time voting for somebody or supporting something that I know is a good cause when the party won't back it? Why do I want to waste my time, my money? I'm not. I'm not supporting any Republicans anymore. None. Because, and especially if they're backed by the Republican Party, you have lost my vote. Mm-hmm. I will purposely work against you at that point.
Yeah. What's sad about the Republicans in Maryland that supposedly love Donald Trump, they recently came out and supported Ed Hale for governor of your state. Ed Hale Jr. was a Democrat who switched parties because he said, well, I can't win as a Democrat against Westmore, so I'm going to run as a Republican and see if I can beat Westmore that way.
And all these idiots wind up behind him. They're all like, yay, Ed
Hale Jr. has, quote, money. You know, people are like, oh, he's definitely going to win because he's a billionaire.
These people are idiots. I mean, really. Some of these people, when I look at them, I wonder what end they put the diaper on, because they could have put it on both ends and it would have served the same purpose for most of these people.
Very true. So I tuned into international elections because, as you guys know, I've been in Budapest, I've been to Israel, and I've watched a lot of these different elections. And we saw in Argentina, Javier Milei, he got reelected. In Bulgaria, they elected a very hardcore conservative. And even in Hungary, Orban was very conservative. The guy that won actually is more conservative than the left think, Mr. Manjar. And if you put up the next slide, slide 3, Damon shared, with the big win in Denmark. So huge win in Denmark. The right-wing anti-Islamic Migration People's Party just more than tripled its vote share and seats in tonight's election. Voters are fed up with open borders madness. Europe is waking up. So my question to Damon Galdo is, how come Europe is waking up? How come Denmark and Hungary and Argentina, well, Argentina's not in Europe, but how come we have more leaders internationally and more people that are voting for conservative values, and we can't have that in the United States?
Well, I would say we started it. I mean, they're feeling it right now. They're just like the Americans were. So that's why we voted Republican. That's why we have a slim margin in the House and the Senate right now, and hopefully it stays that way. But just like you saw, you know, that you mentioned earlier about the indictment, you know, that's going on. They were funding the KKK. They were funding the white supremacist groups. That's what we have here. We have bad actors that are trying to fund. People get paid to protest here. I mean, you have the Soros backers. You know, and they're paying people to go out and protest. They don't even know what they're protesting for. I mean, I told you before, I was there at a Tesla protest. They handed me a check for a voucher for $250. They didn't even know I was there to interview people. They thought I was with their crew, and they asked for the voucher back, and I said, "You're nuts! I'm not giving it back to you." So, and I posted that on the podcast. I mean, you have a Chinese billionaire. Well, he's not Chinese; he's American-born, but lives in China. A billionaire that's funding a lot of these protests. So there's a lot of bad actors that want to take down the United States from within. Now, I think the people voted the right way as far as Republican than far left the last election, which that's why we kind of are where we're at right now. We have the House, we have the Senate, but they have to keep up the good voting, I would say, and we have to keep going. And again, we have to educate everyone and let them know. And we can't take our foot off the gas. When we won in November, everyone's like, we're good. No, we're not. We're not good, because they're going to keep coming. So, and then, but I think these European countries, they saw they were hurting bad. They realized that illegal immigration was killing them just like it was killing us. So they always follow suit with us. But now people are starting to vote that way. So hopefully we keep it going, keep that flow going in the United States as well.
Mm-hmm. And Seth just said he wrote breaking news: the Virginia court stopped the redistricting. The Virginia governor is going to file an appeal. Yeah, that is correct. I did read that. So, a judge from the Circuit Court of Virginia, they said this is unconstitutional what the Virginia governor did. So again, I mean, the courts at the end of the day, they're the ones that control the power of the purse here. I wholeheartedly believe it will go to the VA Supreme Court. I hope that it is overturned because this is unconstitutional what the Virginia governor did. So we'll have to see how that happens. And I hope that it happens in the way that we want it to happen. Now, switching to the Save America Act, as you know, we're still 70 days into it. The House passed the Save America Act. We are waiting for Senator Majority John Thune to pass this damn thing. And as we know, he's a huge rhino. I did not support him for Senate Majority Leader. People are calling for him to step down. It is disgusting that he feels that there are more things that are priority than free and fair elections. Andrew Colvert writes, and he works for Erica Kirk now. Notice how eager Congress is to put the Save America Act behind them and move straight onto FISA spying. We cannot let them just move on. No Save America Act equals no FISA. And Republican Representative Anna Paulina Luna of the great state of Florida, she wrote they want surveillance powers renewed but won't secure elections. No Save America Act equals no FISA. Question to you, Eleana, what do you think about this? Like, do you think that the Save America Act is going to pass sometime this year?
I don't. Excuse me, I didn't have time to look into it, but I believe that the president just signed some sort of executive order saying, stopping mail-in ballots in the interim. And, most mail-in ballots, obviously, absentee ballots and for the military will stay in play. I have to look into that more closely and see exactly if that's going to be a reasonable step or stopper in the meantime. I don't think the SAVE Act is going to be passed. I think it would have been passed by now. It's been over a year. I don't think that the Senate or the Congress actually care about us at all. Sometimes it feels like they hate us. I think they're completely indifferent. It just does not matter that over 80% of the people want that. It should have been passed back in April of 2025 when it first made it through the House. It should have gone to the Senate. This should have already been a thing. Every single election that has happened, since then should have already been secured. So no, I have zero confidence in our Congress, in the House or the Senate to get this done.
Frank, what do you think about this? Again, you're a younger person. You can't vote yet, but what would you say to the 18, 19, 20-year-olds that you know?
I mean, the Democrats say asking for an ID is voter suppression, but I think it's common sense. If you need a license to catch a fish, you ought to need one to cast a ballot. So I think what Leader Thune needs to do is he needs to find his backbone, and passing the SAVE Act shouldn't be a suggestion. It's a job requirement that he has. So we really need to pass the SAVE Act. If not, we're going to get a lot of illegal votes this midterm.
I agree. Damon, Chair, let's put up the last slide from Representative Anna Paulina Luna. So she wrote, just so America knows, after 2 weeks in recess, John Thune is no longer concerning the Save America Act. And that she wrote on Monday at 5:52. That's when this moron John Thune said that there's other things that are pressing, that are more important. This is insane. Seth, I know how you feel, but I really need to know how you feel. Is there any way that the Senate will remove John Thune from his podium? I know President Trump has threatened him multiple times. This is insane what this man is doing, how compromised he is. And I hope that America is really watching, because how do you not want free and fair elections? Oh, wait, we can't have free and fair elections because we want the Democrats to have power. In my opinion, this is a way to screw President Trump, to have the Democrats take back the House, God forbid, take back the Senate, and then we don't get anything done for the last 2 years of his presidency. What say you?
I try to be shocked. I really do. I try like, oh my God, I can't believe we're not doing this, but I can't. Nothing they do now surprises me, and it shouldn't surprise anyone. There was never a chance this was going to pass. Never. It looked good. It sounded good. People were like, yay, we're going to finally do something. And politicians are like, you're a bunch of schmucks. We're not doing anything. But we want you to think that, so you keep voting for us. It'll never pass. Trump should have put his foot down months ago. He's let this fester for too long. Now he's got nothing to do. He can't stop it now if he tried. I don't know what the surprise is. Nobody in this country, let me correct that. No politician wants fair elections. They don't want it because that will work against them. They can't win if it's fair. None of them can. Both sides of the aisle. Everybody cheats. I don't want anybody to think it's just the Democrats that cheat. Everybody goddamn cheats. Mm-hmm. No honest people really get into politics. There are a few exceptions. I'm not saying they're all. Damon's an honest guy. There's a handful of honest politicians out there. Most of them are more worried about the next election than they are about doing their job right now.
That's true.
They could care less what's going on now. They're looking at the next election saying, like, well, what do I got to do? So them not passing the SAVE Act is not shocking. It's funny. At this point, this is like watching a Saturday Night Live skit. It just goes on and on and on, and it gets stupider and stupider and stupider as it goes. But you can't help but watch it because you just want to see how it ends. And we all know how this is going to end. President Trump will get out of office. He'll hire a Democrat. He'll reverse everything that Trump did. We're going to be right back to where we started before. This is a circle jerk, and we're in the middle.
Well, I was going to say something. A lot of it comes down to nuking.
You have 30 seconds because we have to end the segment.
Yeah, a lot of it comes down to nuking the filibuster. And listen, I'm not siding with Thune at all. I think it needs to be passed. We need to figure out a way. But you're in dangerous territory if you nuke the filibuster because the Democrats will come back to power at some point, whether it's 2026, 2028, or 2032, whatever it may be. And then we nuke the filibuster, then they're just going to run away with everything, every far left thing that's out there. It'll crush this country. So
they talked about, and this is constitutional, doing like a talking vote, like talk it, instead of doing like an actual, you're voting in person type of thing. That's constitutional that you can do. And that was actually brought up by Vice President J.D. Vance. But, John Thune and the senators are going against the president of the Senate, J.D. Vance. So this is just crazy. It's crazy. But my question to you before we end, Damon, and this is to Seth's point, is do you think that President Trump, he hasn't, I won't say done anything, but he hasn't pressed it because he wants the rhinos to hang themselves. What do you think?
What, that he wants the rhinos to hang themselves? I mean, for sure.
No, do you understand the expression? Like he wants them to hang themselves. Like, he could, he has been pressing it, but like Seth said, President Trump, he could have put this to bed months ago, but he's not because maybe he wants the American people to see the rhinos hang themselves.
I don't know his strategy with that. I'll be honest with you. I don't know why he wants, even if he thinks they're rhinos, they hang themselves, and then who else gets in? Are they being primaried or not? Or are they facing the Democrat? In my mind, if they are rhinos, I would rather sit with a rhino for now until we figure it out. We're too close to the midterms. I just don't want to screw anything up with that. Obviously.
Well, I can tell you that the Republicans in the state legislature in Indiana, the ones that didn't vote to redistrict because they had momentum to vote to redistrict, President Trump is primarying out all those people. He's working on primarying out Thomas Massey. He's going to eventually work on primarying out Rand Paul. Obviously, he worked against Marjorie Taylor Greene and basically got her out, and then he got a more conservative person to take over her seat. So President Trump is primarying out a lot of these rhinos, a lot of people that are not working for the benefit of the nation and the benefit of the people. And that's a true fact. Yeah. But when he messages me, it distracts me. So anyway, guys, we are going to take a little bit of a break. We're going to head to segment 2. We will be right back after the break.
America's Pulse Network. The mainstream media is bought and paid for. The truth is twisted to fit their agenda. But America is waking up. Because podcasts are the future for trusted media. Welcome to the America's Pulse Network. It is a network built by patriots that upholds the Constitution. But America's Pulse Network stands for God, truth, and the America First movement. There is no corporate propaganda. No government spin, just real news, real talk, and real voices fighting for faith, freedom, and the future of this great nation with common sense. Here are some of America's Pulse Network podcasts. Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. The New Jersey State House Watch, hosted by Jack Brangan and Constance Detzel. APN's The Pulse is moderated by either Alexandra, Damon, Eleana, or Seth. Also tune into America's Pulse Network on the following social media platforms: join the revolution, because the pulse of America beats for God and country. America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to The Pulse. I just want to say thank you to everyone that has been commenting on our show. Thank you to our viewership. We are currently live on Instagram, on Parler, on True Social, on X, on YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, Substack. We're on about 15 connections. So you can literally watch this on YouTube and Rumble at the same time. You can also watch this on our website, americaspulsenetwork.com. We are currently live on our website. We appreciate everybody who is watching us tonight. So segment 2 focuses on congressmen and women being removed for indecent practices. Why now? I can tell you, I've known this for years. I worked on Capitol Hill for many years. I mean, there's a lot of married men and women that hit on single men and women all the time. There's a lot of married men that hit on and sleep with reporters on Capitol Hill. It is a very known thing. It's not a secret. There's a lot of elected officials that sleep with lobbyists, special interests. I mean, this is a known thing, but it's so funny how it's just coming out now, out of the woodwork now in 2026. And this is a big thing out of Florida. Let's put up the first slide with Democrat Representative Sheila McCormick. So breaking news, Democrat Representative Sheila McCormick of Florida resigned on Tuesday before the House could sanction her in an ethics investigation. Let's go to the second slide because it'll tell you about the investigation. So the bipartisan House Ethics Committee already found that she committed 25 ethics violations related to her allegedly stealing $5 million in FEMA relief funds. The Democrat out of Florida was federally indicted in November of last year. The state accidentally overpaid her company by about $5 million. Instead of returning the overpayment, prosecutors and the ethics committee say she and co-conspirators, including her brother, Edwin Shafillis, stole the money, then laundered it by routing it through multiple bank accounts. She allegedly used the money on her campaign, her family, and a luxury lifestyle, including buying items like a 3.14 karat yellow diamond, $190,000 from Tiffany's, a Tesla, which is like a $100,000 car plus, designer clothing, high-end hotels, a cruise, and other items. I turn this to my friend Eleana, who's from Florida. What do you think about this?
I'm sorry to laugh, but how could you not laugh? Now she's facing 53 years if she gets convicted.
Whoops.
The whole thing is just so gross. What I think about this is when I zoom out, I feel like she's a fall guy. You know, they're gonna make her a big fuss over her and say, look, we got somebody. We got somebody. You know, it's happening a little bit here and there, but overall, you know what? She's a lowlife. She took taxpayer dollars, 5 million of them that she knew didn't belong to her. And you know, her priorities are, you know, $190,000 ring from Tiffany's. Instead of doing what's right by the American people. I'm not surprised. I am delighted, though, that she resigned. I am delighted that 3 swamp monsters were drained in the past week and a half. And I'd like to see more of this. Will we see more indictments like this, heavy-handed ones like this? Just maybe. I hope so.
So, Seth, let's turn to you. I mean, this woman obviously, completely broke so many laws on so many levels. It's interesting. This woman wasn't caught for like cheating on her husband. She was caught for, just stealing taxpayer dollars and buying, carat diamonds and so forth. And as you know, Florida next week, they're going to vote on redistricting. I hope that this is one of the districts that gets, redistricted. So maybe we can get a Republican in there. What say you?
Number one, they call it an ethics violation. Let me be perfectly clear. It's not an ethics violation. It's a felony. It's a crime.
Yeah.
So let's stop mixing words and trying to protect these people, make them look good. She's a piece of shit thief. She got caught. Why she hasn't been arrested? Because I'd have been arrested if I'd embezzled that much money from my employer. I wouldn't have been allowed to quit and go home and wait for charges to be filed. They'd have arrested me that day. They've already done the investigation, so it's no longer alleged. They know she did it, and she's allowed to leave. She's allowed to leave because she's a politician. They get to play by different rules than we do. If Damon went to work tomorrow, he worked for a construction company and started stealing supplies to build a house for himself, the second they found out, he'd be in handcuffs. The police would meet him at the work site. They'd lock him up and drag him off the work site. They wouldn't go, hey, Damon, we caught you stealing like $100,000 worth of supplies. So we're going to let you quit. You can go home. We're going to take care of this, and we'll get back in touch with you down the road once we decide to file charges. Any one of us would have been locked up immediately.
Thanks for blowing up my spot, Seth. Now,
But she already is facing charges. That the House Ethics Committee investigation is separate from the federal indictment.
But they're still calling it an ethics violation. It's not an ethics violation.
They are. They're calling the fact that she used the money for her campaign an ethics violation.
But she also bought rings, cars, cruises. That is a crime.
That's part of the federal indictment.
And Damon, we can finish the addition of my house next week. Don't worry about it. It's not a rush. But the point is, anybody that we know would have been in jail immediately. We wouldn't have gone home that day.
That's
We'd
true.
have been in cuffs, in county lockup, getting booked in. This is ridiculous. I am so sick of politicians doing what they want to do, and then nothing happens. They file charges. Nothing will happen.
Yeah.
That's
nothing.
very true.
And we're paying, and she probably keeps her health insurance, so we're paying for that.
Mm-hmm.
She steals, and we support her lifestyle.
Yeah, Sandra Leanne, she wrote, I can't believe these people think they can pull these schemes this day and age. We need to uncover more of the fraud and hold people accountable.
That's the key phrase, hold people accountable.
Yep,
We
I
don't
agree.
do that. This government doesn't hold itself accountable. They hold us accountable. You don't pay your taxes and you're a civilian, you're going to jail. You'd be Al Sharpton, owe $2 million in taxes for 50 years?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing happens to that bastard.
Yep.
This is ridiculous. I am sick of it. And I don't know how much more everybody in the country can take before you get sick of it.
Yeah, I agree. Damon, pivot to you. So I can tell you it was a hardcore Republican congressman, my congressman of Florida, Greg Steube, who actually pushed this. He pushed and investigated. My congressman's an attorney. He pushed this and he was a lone wolf in this. And I believe that he was stonewalled by a lot of Republican rhinos in Congress, and of course the Democrats. They always push, she's black, she's a woman, can't do this, yada yada. So let's say you're a congressman and you see someone, or you investigated someone, doesn't matter what party they are, for committing fraud, doesn't matter if they're your friend or foe, whatever. What would you do to take hold of the reins and really push this and make those people end up in jail?
Everything I possibly could. So why do you think I'm running? I'm running because of reasons like this. We talked about this last week too, about these congressmen and women that are resigning because of things they're doing. Swalwell, accusations of rape, and everything else, that is huge. Other ones that...
Damon, can you repeat yourself because you froze for 5 seconds?
I froze? Okay.
Yeah.
So no, I said Swalwell with accusation of rape. That's crazy. He needs to go to jail for that if it is true. She needs to go to jail if this is true, and apparently it seems like it is. I'm not innocent until proven guilty, but other ones that cheat on their wives. I said it last week. When cheating on your wife, I don't think you should have to resign for that. That's just you have to deal with your wife, And I told you before, I'm not dealing with that, so I would never do that.
Well, Sandra Leanne made the point, and I'll pivot this to Frank. Weren't the Democrats screaming, quote, "No one is above the law" a few years ago? What say you, Frank?
Well, Congress should be the highest level of public service. When we see members being removed, it shouldn't be about politics. It should be about holding people to higher standard. Whether it's Eric Swalwell or any other bum that's stealing taxpayer dollars, if you aren't acting within the dignity the office requires, you shouldn't be there. And we need a return to institutional respect, and we need more accountability and transparency in our government.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree.
How do you think? Can I ask Frank a question? I agree with you that's a great goal, but what steps do you think we can take to get there?
Well, we need to primary the people who are in We need somebody like Damon to get elected so we can know there's somebody in our government that's honest. And once people start to see, if we elect more people like Damon, our government will be more accountable, and we can do more things with the taxpayer dollars. It's not shady like stealing it and paying for cruises, rings, you name it.
Well, I'm going to say there's a huge problem with their government right now, on the Republican and Democrat side as well. I mean, you look at what's going on. These people are resigning because they're breaking the law. They're getting caught finally. But are they going to go to jail? Who knows? We'll see. We'll see. I mean, how many people went to jail for the fraud so far in California and Minnesota? I know some people have, but what about Tim Walz going to over to Spain, I believe it was, and trashing our president? Trashing our country pretty much. I mean, so he's our president, like him or not. But it's the thing. You don't go over and do that. I mean, that's almost like treason to me. You have other senators. What was his name? The one that's tweeting out awesome. When the propagandists.
That idiot Chris Murphy from Connecticut. Yeah, he should freaking go to jail.
Yeah, it's like, come on, look at our elected officials. I mean, it's a joke. It's ridiculous. That's why we need to get regular people in. We need to get people in that actually care. People like you guys. Like Frank. Frank's going to be a superstar one day. When he's old enough to vote, he's old enough to run for office. He already ran for an office, one that he can run for under 18. But no, that's what we need. We need regular people in. We need to clear it all out, man, because there's too much corruption. It's too much BS, and that's what needs to happen. And I just want to address somebody named David or whatever said progressives will vote for Damon. I guess somebody's trolling. Yeah, okay. We'll see David when that happens.
Cool, I guess he's saying he'll get Democrat support if you don't mention Donald Trump's name.
Oh well, I did. So
whatever. It's crazy. And people forget President Trump was a Democrat. Anyway, so too many distractions with the private chats. Anyway, so this is something. So speaking of ethics violations that are removed, so Eric Swalwell, he should be in jail, like we said. All these other congressmen, senators should be in jail, but they're not being held accountable.
Yep.
And a lot of them are Democrats, but there are Republicans we're finding that also should be held accountable. We'll put up this slide by my friend David Harris Jr. Let's see what he wrote. So Representative Nancy Mace, she's running for governor of South Carolina. She filed a resolution to expel Representative Florida Corey Mills from Congress. Mace accuses Mills of, 1, beating women and telling them to lie about it, cyber stalking women, lying about his military service stolen valor, and profiting off his congressional seat via business conflicts. Now, I can tell you for a fact that Corey Mills did lie about his military service. He also lied when he said that he went over to Afghanistan and brought troops back. I know for a fact that was a complete lie. I also know for a fact he was one of the only Republican congressmen that voted not to silence or censure Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. And the reason being is because he's married to an Islamist who has ties to Hezbollah and ties to other terrorist organizations such as Hamas. So actually, me personally, I support Representative Nancy Mace here by trying to get rid of this guy. Now, unfortunately, there's a coup going around to make sure that Corey Mills stays in Congress. And people are, they're fed up with Nancy Mace. They don't like that she's, calling people out. Nancy Mace takes this personally because she herself is a victim of rape. She talks about this many times, how she has been raped and sexually harassed. And maybe she has been sexually harassed on Capitol Hill. As I said, a lot of these congresswomen, they get sexually harassed all the time. Lauren Boebert, she had a clip that said these men need to go to church. They need to say, they need to speak to Jesus. They're so horny. There's so many horny people on Capitol Hill. Like, this is ridiculous. So, my question to you, Seth, on this, with Nancy Mace and Corey Mills. I mean, we're seeing Democrats are being held accountable. Should the same standard happen for Republicans as well?
Oh, yeah. They're no different. If you break the law, you break the law. I don't care who you are. You go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
If it's Corey Mills, I don't care if it's that schmuck lady in Florida who's taking money from, embezzlement. I don't care if it's Donald Trump. I don't give a shit who it is. If you break the law, you go to jail. There's nothing special about these people. In some countries, politicians are looked down on. They're not revered like they are in this country. They're not worshipped like they are in this country. Yeah, if you break the law, you go to jail. I mean, and as far as stolen valor, since I was a vet, I can say this. If you want to say you were in the military to get the 10% off of Denny's, I don't care. Really, go for it. Get your All-American Slam, 10 cents off. I don't care. I've never cared. There are people out there who will flip out about that and my buddy's died. Dude, who cares? You're not. I have never profited off being in the military, but if you can figure out a way to profit off being in the military, power to you, man. I mean, I don't really. There's many other things in this world and in this life that are so more important than somebody dressing up and playing military. I don't care about that. I don't know why that's made such a big deal of it. People pretend to be doctors. People pretend to be cops. People pretend to be lawyers, priests. So what? So what? If the guy's got a mental illness and he wants to play soldier, let him. Everybody around him knows he's full of shit. You don't have to point it out and make it a big sting. We all know. When I've seen that twice in my life. Both times I'm like, hey, good going, shipmate. Thanks for your service. I don't care. I'm not going to give them what they want. They want the attention. I'm not giving it to them. Like, hey, good job. You were a Navy SEAL, sniper, force, Green Beret, submariner, captain, pilot in the Navy and the Army at the same time. Good deal. That's awesome. He's got a chessboard like this big. He's got like an Army jacket on, a Navy uniform, and Marine pants. That's great. That's cool. Power to you, Chief. I know we make the big.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So Sandra Leanne, she wrote, Congress needs to be held to a high standard, even in their personal life. Making poor personal decisions not only reflects negatively on their character, but makes them more vulnerable to being blackmailed and bought up by people who have dirt on them. What say you about that, Eleana?
Well, I mean, she's right in the sense that they become more vulnerable if they already have existing moral failings. But I mean, if we want everybody to be perfect morally, we have to leave the planet. It just doesn't exist. None of us are perfect. You know me, I'm a woman of faith. The only perfect person ever was Jesus. So if they're not breaking the law, that's pretty much the bar that we have to be realistically setting. And sometimes, even when they break the law, we have to take a close look at what they've done or what they've been accused of doing and say, can I live with this? It happens a lot. I appreciate that sentiment, but it's unrealistic.
You can't hold people responsible for being stupid. You can't.
Exactly. So Frank, we're going to end the segment with you. So what do you think about this? Do you think that, do you hold your congressmen, your senators to a higher standard? Do you believe that, their personal life shouldn't be put out there? What do you think?
Well, anybody, no matter what your party is, Democrat, Republican, Independent, you're elected to that position, and your duty is to the American people and to be honest to the American people. So your personal life, stocks, that kind of stuff, your stock trading, we should know about that. And if you're being dishonest in your personal life, how do we know you're not being dishonest on the Senate or the House floor? So, I think we should hold them accountable.
I wholeheartedly agree with you.
How you can tell they're being dishonest on the floor? Because they're there and they've been elected to be there. Most politicians lie, so you have to assume they're lying. As soon as they start talking, you have to assume that they're lying.
That's very, very true. And me personally, I do hold politicians to the high standards. And, they talk about family first and American values. And then they're, screwing around with their secretary. They're screwing around with the lobbyist. It's really bothersome to me. And we as the American people are supposed to be forgiving of that. I'm sorry. You are out there. You're putting your relationship out there. There's people in Maryland, Seth, that married couple. One woman is divorced, but the guy is married, state delegation, and they have their whole relationship put out there. I mean, it's just disgusting.
Yeah, I just want to add that, I think it's disgusting what these people do. If we got too strict about it, we would have no one. We'd have one or two people left in all of Congress, which actually might not be a bad thing now that I say that out loud.
Well, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with segment 3. Stay with us, guys. We are the Pulse of America. Stay with us.
Welcome to America's Pulse Network. This is APN's very own White House correspondent, Alexandra Levine.
This is so amazing and miraculous. We've never had a president in the history of our nation doing this. And we hope to God that he continues doing this forever and ever. Thank you. God bless you, everybody. And God bless President Trump.
And God bless you.
Hello, everyone. This is Alexandra Levine with the America's Pulse Network. I am the White House correspondent right here in the heart of D.C. as President Trump is celebrating 250 years of America and the military.
Subscribe and follow America's Pulse Network on the above social medias.
Well, hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome back to the America's Pulse Network. Thank you for staying with us. I just want to say again, thank you to everyone that has been watching, commenting. Please like and subscribe. We are literally live on all of the major channels such as Facebook, Rumble, X, True Social, TikTok, Substack, Spotify. We're also live on our website at americaspulsenetwork.com. So segment 3 starts with why are all these like big heads of power, these women in department heads, why are they all getting fired? The first one, let's put up the first slide Damon shared. So breaking from my friend David Harris Jr., Lori Chavez DeRemer resigns as Labor Secretary. White House Communications Director Stephen Chung announced the resignation today. Well, that was yesterday. She's stepping down amid a series of misconduct investigations and scandals at the Department of Labor. And reports indicate she's leaving for a position in the private sector. Deputy Secretary Keith Solinger has been named acting secretary. So what we're seeing is you have these women heads that are getting that are being fired. They're showing misconduct, and they're actually not doing for the American people. And then you have the male deputy secretaries that are kind of filling in. Whether Keith Sunderland ends up replacing her, we don't know yet. I think President Trump is probably in the process of interviewing who we think would be a great deputy secretary or Secretary of Labor. But my question to you, Eleana, what do you think about this? I mean, we've had Kristi Noem now fired. We've had Pam Bondi now fired. Now we have Lori Chavez fired. So we have 3 women that were heads of department that have been fired. What say you?
Well, this is different from what we were talking about in the personal life. Here we have actual investigations. The Inspector General is investigating her for sending department-funded grants to political contacts to further her political career. That's sneaky. That's using my money. You know, you want to cheat on your husband, or go right ahead, sweetheart. Like, I don't like it, but go right ahead. But now you're using my money to further your own career. Then on top of it, she was accused of having this like extremely toxic office that she ran. It was sexually charged. They're investigating whether she took her staffers to strip clubs. She was allegedly having an affair with one of her security team. And then even her husband wasn't allowed to come into the office anymore because supposedly he was sexually harassing her staffers. Like, these people are just gross. Take your gross stuff and leave it at home. Like Kristi.
Are they hiring?
Noam's husband.
Probably.
So that's what I think. I think, okay, good. Bye, Felicia. I just don't care. You know?
So, Frank, let me turn this to you because you're a young kid. Let's say you're an intern and you're interning for these people. Like, you're interning for Lori, you're interning for Kristi Noem, you're interning for Pam Bondi, and you've read all this stuff, and they've been fired. Would you continue doing that internship? Would you say, I'm done, I'm out of here? Would you try to switch to a different department? What say you?
I would switch to a different department. I could not work around that. I wouldn't want to be around those people because I know they are not good influences. And, the media is trying to frame these departures, these firings, as a gender issue. But a real good look at this is it's about the grit in their work. And so in any high stakes, higher up organization, if you aren't hitting the marks or aligning with the mission, the leadership has to change. It doesn't matter if it's Pam Bondi or Noam. The goal is finding the best person to execute the job they were put in to do. So the media is just trying to lie like they always do. And we really need to look at it with our own mindset, not what the media is telling us.
I agree with you. Damon Galdo, I turn this to you. So, and a lot of women that I know have this perspective as well. And I want your opinion on this, as a man. But we saw like in the Trump administration when he hired women in, top heads or top departments, he ended up firing them because they just didn't do the job. I mean, do you feel, in your opinion, and maybe, and I can turn this to Eleana as well, that, Department of Labor, DHS Secretary, Attorney General, do you feel that maybe those are certain jobs of position more for men, like a man can really handle that as opposed to a woman?
Well, that type of job, I mean, no, I would think either one. And first of all, you said it as, well, my opinion as a man. Yes, I identify as a man. Just so everyone knows.
How dare you assume?
But no, I mean, a position like that, yeah, I think women can handle that. I mean, no, everyone has their thing about them. You just have to follow. This country was born on Judeo-Christian values, and we fell off that path a long time ago. I mean, everything with the internet, not enough people go to church, not enough people have families when they raise kids. So and once you get into power like this, and we look at all the Hollywood actors, like look at like P. Diddy, and he was rich, and then all the crazy stuff that he did. You look at even the elected officials, what you just mentioned, like the stuff that they do, harassing people, taking their staff to strip clubs. I mean, it's when you get to a certain point, I guess they don't have anything else to do. They already achieved, whatever they wanted to achieve there, and they had to find something else. You have to keep yourself based, and that's the most important thing. And I think your family grounds you in that. And if you stay close to your family and close to your faith as well, then you won't go down that road. And that's the biggest thing. People forget that and they just lose their mind. I tell people all the time, my friends, my family, I said, if I ever get elected, I said, if I start losing myself, you got to slap me down immediately, because it can be easily done. I mean, I'm not saying I'm never going to do it. I won't. I guarantee you that. But I could see it's human nature. We're flawed, but that's pretty damn flawed with the story you just told me. So I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pivot to Eleana as a woman. So when you think of an attorney general, when you think of a DHS secretary, don't you feel, in your opinion, that that's more for like a role of a man? It's like a very manly role, just like Secretary of State. We've had women Secretary of States, but when I think like a Secretary of State, when I think of a DHS secretary, I don't know. I get the vision of like this big, strong, man just going after these illegals. What say you?
Yeah, I think overall, I love when I get accused of being, what do they call us, misogynist? Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, men are stronger leaders. There are exceptions. People will be like, Margaret Thatcher was great. I'll be like, yeah, she's an exception. You named one woman. There are, of course, exceptions to the rule. But when it comes to moving people, leading people, taking emotion out of the equation, men are just better at it. We'll see what happens here. Men are less, which can be also a weakness. Men can be less pliable sometimes. You have to have a kind of a leader and a man who sits at the table and says, I want to hear what everybody has to think, and actually takes guidance and counsel from others. Right, but women tend to be more easily influenced and make emotional decisions. And I see it in the GOP when women are running different state agencies. I mean, it happens all the time. They are concerned about their reputation. They're concerned about making an impression or hurting somebody's feelings. They take the teeth out of everything as on the whole. And I don't want to just say I want a man, but I say with a man, you have a better chance of getting a strong leader. It's
true. I mean, we have, committee chairman and chairwoman. They did that on purpose. They wanted egalitarianism. They want an RNC chairman and an RNC chairwoman. But in the state of Maryland, we have an RNC committee chairwoman who, had an affair with the executive director of the MD-GOP. Now he's running for state Senate 42. And then she comes out and endorses him, which is, of course, against the bylaws because she's still the RNC committee chairwoman. I mean, that's what's going on in Maryland. I mean, what say you about that, Seth?
Maryland's a joke. It's like incestuous. The Republican Party here is incestuous. It's the same people. They just fill different positions every time something comes around. It's the same people. It's like in Frederick County where I live, same fucking morons are on the Central Committee that haven't got anybody elected in years. Nobody. But they get reelected because it's all about, they're a nice guy or she's a great woman. Not about ability. It's a joke. But yeah, when it comes to women and men in leadership positions, I've been in the Navy. I've been around men that have a command presence, just that aura that they put off without even having to talk. You know they're in charge. You don't question them. Yes, sir. No, sir. Right away. And then I've been around women who are in positions of power, captains and lieutenants that were females in the Navy. And I'm not knocking them. They got there for some reason. They had to be smart. They just don't go, hey, we're handing out lieutenant bars today. Who wants to be one? They have to take tests. They just don't exude the same presence. It just doesn't feel the same when they're in a room full of guys trying to give direction. Of course, you're going to follow it because they're an officer, but it's kind of like I have to. She's a lieutenant. I got to do what they say, as opposed to the guy like I'm going to do what he says because I got faith in him. He knows what he's doing. I'll go to war with that man. I'll die or kill for that guy. And I'm not trying to knock women. And like Eleana said, there's an exception to every rule. There's women out there that are probably better than men. But in general, men are just more, I don't want to say developed or bred, but they're just more designed, or however you want to put it, to be leaders. We're just built differently. We think differently. We approach things differently.
I agree with you. And like when you think of Secretary of War, I don't think of a woman in that role.
Yeah. That's terrible. There's a reason God designed it this way.
Yeah, exactly. So turning to another topic. So let's put up the second slide. This has to do with Tucker Carlson's son. So Tucker Carlson's son, he worked for Vice President J.D. Vance, and now he's no longer employed. So that has been something, there you go. Tucker Carlson's son, Buckley, no longer employed by the White House. So this is something that's been really pressing. Laura Loomer has been really pushing on this. And people, I feel that the shift of, the J.D. Vance support has kind of shifted towards Marco Rubio for President 2028 because Tucker Carlson's family was surrounded by the vice president. Whether the vice president's still close with Tucker Carlson's family, that's, something that we don't know. But we find out that Tucker Carlson's son is a registered Democrat, and he's just heavily involved in the White House. Probably could have done opposition research. As you know, Tucker Carlson has turned into a huge anti-Semite, and I'm glad that the president of the United States acknowledged it. Thank God. And people are telling J.D. Vance, you need to get away from Tucker Carlson and his family because it's not helping you, dude. It's hurting you. It's hurting your chances if you want to be president 2028. So, my question to you, Frank, as a 15-year-old, what is I want to know your perspective on this, your opinion on this, about Tucker Carlson, his influence with Turning Point USA, and so forth. Well,
ever since Charlie got killed, a lot of things have been strange in the conservative movement. I think, Candace Owens went off her rocker, Tucker Carlson went off his rocker. And I don't think it's not a good impression on the conservative movement, because the conservative movement needs to be united for us to make a difference. And that's what I really think Charlie Kirk did. He had us united, but ever since he was killed, we have not been united, and we need to be united because we won't be able to do much if we aren't. And Tucker, I don't know what happened to him. He's not the same as he was on Fox News. So.
And Frank, what are you starting right now?
Oh, so I'm the Club America, which is the turning point for high school, and
awesome.
I'm the county chair. I started it in Gloucester County.
Oh my God, that's amazing! I love it. Damon Galdo, 30 seconds on this response.
Yeah, I could just repeat what Frank just said. I don't know. I used to like Candace, like Tucker. I mean, they still do have a good point here or there, but the majority of what they're feeling out there is like, what the heck happened to them? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't know them personally, but I don't know why they went that route and why they're breaking up.
And Seth, why do you think that J.D. Vance, Carlson's son, so close to him when everybody kept screaming at J.D. Vance, remove this guy, remove this kid, it's hurting you, it's hurting the base. Why the hell did you keep him working for you for so long?
It kind of says something about his intelligence or his judgment of character. I mean, if 500 people are telling you this one guy's an idiot and you don't see it, maybe it's not their problem. Maybe it's your problem. Maybe you're just not as smart as you think you are. And I don't know much about J.D. Vance. They've kind of kept him in the background. He pops up every once in a while and says something and then disappears again. But I don't know why. I mean, you would think somebody with an IQ of a flip flop would hear Tucker Carlson talk for 5 minutes, then look at his son and go, "You're fired. Get your ass out of my office." Go out the back door.
Why should the kid be fired? I mean,
number one, he's a Democrat working for Republican vice president. Right there. What do you think?
We need to know why he got fired, though.
Was he fired or did he leave?
I think he quit and went to another job.
He quit. I don't think he was fired though.
Okay.
They said he was fired. He came out and said, "Oh, I quit to go work for another job," but they basically were like, "You're fired." He didn't quit. They fired him, but he changed the narrative to say, "No, I quit to go work for the private sector."
Oh, well, I don't know why a vice president is Republican but want a Democrat working for him anyway. That's kind of like being a firefighter and hiring an arsonist to come work in your department. I mean, what the hell are you thinking? How is that going to work? It's not. I don't know anything about his son. I just know about Tucker. I think Tucker's a full-blown moron. I think he's been paid. He's getting money from someone, because that wasn't a little subtle change. That was like one day the sun is hot, and then the next day the sun is cold. There wasn't even like a ramp up. It was just instant. He's getting paid from somebody. He's a whore. Mm-hmm. Most of those people are whores. If you pay them enough money, they'll say and do anything you want them to do and pretend like that's how they've always been. Mm-hmm. I can guarantee you within the next 5 years, he'll flip again. He'll come back to the Republicans and go, I was wrong. I was, like you said about Trump, I was wrong. I was misled. I apologize. He'll give that same song and dance down the road and say, I was wrong. I apologize. I was misled. I want to make sure everybody understands that, now I know. They're whores. They do anything for money. And right now, doing what they do is paying them money.
Correct.
They're going to keep going with that. They don't.
Yes. Seth, I'm glad you brought that point, and I'll pivot to Eleana because we have to go in 30 seconds with the segment. But yeah, great point, Seth. I mean, Tucker Carlson just recently came out with his brother Buckley, who was on his podcast, and said, "Yeah, I deeply regret, supporting President Trump, helping him get reelected, working with him to get reelected and elected. I deeply regret it." And then, so when Tucker Carlson says this, and I know, and there's a disconnect, and I feel a little bit different on this. Because they say, sometimes what the parents say, the children don't feel that way and vice versa. But I know that Tucker Carlson's family is very close. There's also families in Maryland, Seth and I know, where the families are very close. And the kid says something very off the wall. And you don't want to blame the parent. But, I hate to say it does start from home. It really does, especially when you have a very close family. So I do believe that maybe, people saw, Tucker Carlson's son as a threat to the Republican Party, a threat to working with J.D. Vance, and maybe that was one of the reasons why he was fired. Let's say,
I can't agree with you that it's a norm that a kid is just, at that age, in their 20s, is going to just parrot what their parents say. That is the time for kids to do whatever they want. So he may or may not have agreed with his father on those things. I was off the wall at that age, and not even close to seeing the world through my parents' eyes. The same as with my son and his parents, me. So I just don't know what really went down here. I do know that they need some new names in that family, like Tucker. There's got to be a Xander in there somewhere. It's white. I can't.
Well, it's true, and yeah, it's very true. It's very, very true. But it's in my opinion, it's very sad how we see people who used to be hardcore conservative and they supported Trump, they backed him, and now they've all turned on him. And I believe in my whole heart that these people always were against Trump. I really do. Like Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, all these people. I do wholeheartedly believe they were always against Trump from the beginning. I believe that they had a niche. They supported him to make money. And then when they were fired from their positions, they're like, oh crap, how am I going to make money? Oh, I'm going to go back to hating Trump. And that's how I always felt. So it's really disgusting. I really hope that if Tucker Carlson or Megyn Kelly or Alex Jones comes back and says, I love you, Trump, everything is good, I hope that the American people reject them. I hope President Trump rejects them. I hope his family rejects them, because these people are really detriments to our nation. And I wholeheartedly believe that. So we're going to leave right now. We're going to go for a little break. We'll be back with segment 4. It'll be very interesting. We'll be right back.
Hey, Hey, it's great to be on with you. This is a great podcast. It's a lot of fun and it's informative and it's real information. It's none of the frills and none of the nonsense that you hear on the legacy media, just telling the story of what's happening right now. It's what I do with my newsletter that I get out to anybody who wants to see it. It's what you're doing with this podcast. America needs to know what the real deal is, and you're the real deal.
I love that. Thank you, Congressman Jeff Van Drew. I love that. So going to segment 4.
Thank you to that.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I don't want to lead into that. Not yet, Damon. Damon shared. God, you put the cart before the horse. You didn't let me talk about before you put it up there. It's okay. So anyway, this woman is back in the news recently. The New York Post found pictures of, they saw her out and they were like, oh my God, is that really Stormy Daniels? And she actually was interviewed several months ago. And I was shocked that it was Stormy Daniels. We all remember Stormy Daniels was this porn star, stripper. I don't know. You guys can say if she was attractive or not back then. But you go from being a porn star to looking like that. It's unbelievable. So Damon Cher, please put up the current picture of what Stormy Daniels looks like. Oh my God. So this woman looks like she's gained about over 100 pounds, major cellulite. I don't know if she's on antidepressants. I don't know if she's on something. Looks like she's on
Twinkies.
I don't know. It looks like she's got a bunch of new tattoos going on. I know her husband's still stuck with her through this whole thing and debacle. I just want to see if this is what happens when you FAFO, F around and find out. And she effed around with Donald Trump and she, got involved, put herself in the middle, got involved with Michael Cohen and all this crap and, tried to make it a name for herself again when President Trump was